Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
This is Fish Jelly.
Uh-huh.
How are you?
I'm ill.
Yeah.
I'm slightly ill. How are you?
Well, better than you. Bless your heart.
It's not bad.
Well, we'll get through this, I'm sure, with coffee and determination.
Oh, yes.
There's a YouTube channel called The Cinema Squad, and they have an annual movie awards telecast called the Rubber Duckies. Last year was the third annual, and we presented Best Film. Do you recall which film won?
No.
Oppenheimer.
Oh.
I can't believe I remember that and you don't.
I think because I didn't.
I'm very proud of myself.
I wouldn't have wanted that to win, so.
But this year we've been asked to present again, and we're presenting Best Actress of 2024. So people can vote. I'll put the link in the description of this episode to the Google Doc where people can vote for all the categories. But it would be nice if there are more votes, more input. The nominees for Best Actress for this Rubber Duckies is Demi Moore for The Substance, Mikey Madison for Anora, Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, and Willa Fitzgerald for Strange Darling. So, yeah, there's I think February 10th is the last day to vote, and then the live broadcast will be February 23rd. Okay, moving on to that Michael Jackson. It's like a musical biopic.
Yeah, from Antoine Fuqua.
Directed by Antoine Fuqua, written by, is his name Josh Logan, or am I wrong? Did I say John Logan? Sorry. Who's someone we should know maybe. Oh, he wrote Gladiator, The Aviator, Hugo.
Oh, yeah, Scorsese, baby.
I think you've talked about him before.
Yeah.
But I was reading that there have been some issues because the production's been a little strained.
Why?
Because it was supposed to start, and then the writer strike happened, and the actor strike. And then, the family's involved because this is a big studio picture. So I think there's been a lot of input from the family. But what first caught my attention is that apparently Antoine Fuqua has had a difficult time on set trying to direct because the family would try to get involved. And so apparently for a portion of the production, he was directing from a van and watching, remotely. And so the main thing that caught my attention is I saw a headline that the family was referring to him as Vantoine Fuqua.
Yeah, because he was hiding.
Because he was hiding in the van. So that was number one. Number two, apparently filming wrapped. However, I guess the third act or the final act of the film revolves around the 1993 child abuse or sexual abuse allegations. And so they filmed it, and then they couldn't get permission, I guess based on the settlement or whatever between Michael Jackson and the kid or his family. They aren't allowed to talk about it. So that's not going to be allowed in the movie. So now they have to do reshoots. But then the family released a statement saying that the film's production is not in total chaos and that it's still, the original release date is still solid. So there's that.
Have you looked at the cast?
Well, only because someone who watches us apparently worked on that production because they commented in a live
that
we did, remember? But so the only thing I care about at this point, because I'm definitely going to watch it, because of course I'm a huge fan of Michael Jackson, his sister Moore, Janet, but I grew up with this family, so of course I'm interested in the film. But I kept checking to see who's playing Janet. And I don't see anyone in the description playing Janet, or in the cast list.
There's LaToya.
But there's LaToya, and there's Rebe.
Yeah, so
I don't know if they're holding... maybe whomever's playing Janet is more notable and it's supposed to be a gag. Because I can't imagine you'd have a story and it goes from this, the beginnings of the Jackson 5 up to his death in 2009. And that you wouldn't include his
We're just gonna ignore.
A-list sister.
We're
But
gonna ignore
okay.
Scream.
Or Scream, or but maybe, I mean, maybe she was pretty distant from him for a long time, professionally. So maybe, I don't know.
But
But yes, I know that there are, like, I recognize people from the cast.
you see who's playing the parents?
Who?
Coleman Domingo and Nia Long.
Nia Long is playing Katherine Jackson. I can see it.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Well, of course I'll watch it, and um, if they're using his actual music, which I'm sure they are, that's exciting. Okay, moving on to, we reviewed 5 films from Sundance this year so far. There might be a 6th one.
Uh-huh.
So we have videos for those on YouTube. But one of the films that premiered at this year's festival is the Pee Wee Herman documentary, Pee Wee as Himself.
Uh-huh.
Do we have access to that?
I believe we do.
Oh, well, apparently.
Through today. Through today.
Apparently, in this documentary, because they have footage of him that was recorded before his death, he comes out as gay. Yeah. So now I kind of want to watch it. But he said, he lived openly as a gay man when he was younger, before Pee Wee Herman popped off. And apparently he talks about the partner who he had back then, and that a lot of Pee Wee Herman's mannerisms are based on his partner. And apparently, I think there's maybe footage or photos of him with this person. But this man died of AIDS, complications due to AIDS. And then after that, Paul Reubens, Pee Wee Herman, decided to kind of crawl back into the closet so that he could pursue this character and his career. So that was interesting to hear. I hope that he was happy or was able to kind of live more authentically towards the end. But lastly, in this little section, Wikipedia, I saw that they had posted the most popular topics for 2024, which amounts to their most viewed articles by month. So I thought it might be interesting to go over those, because it does kind of give a really interesting snapshot of the year. So for January 2024, the most viewed article was the Saltburn entry for the film.
Okay.
Which I totally forgot what a big deal that movie was. Isn't it weird that like things just come and go?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because I have not thought about that movie in a very long time. For February, it was Griselda Blanco. And of course we know...
Because of that Netflix movie?
A series with, what's her name? The highest paid actress on TV.
Sofia Vergara?
Yes. For March, it was Indian Premier League, which I think is soccer. Okay. Or no, it's not soccer. It's cricket. Sorry. For April, again, it was the Indian Premier League. That's pretty wild. Keeping in mind that these are the most viewed articles on English Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So that's still really cool that it took up 2 months. And then for May, it was the 2024 Indian general election. That's cool. For June, the 2024 UEFA European Football Championship. That's soccer. Okay. For July, the most viewed article was the profile for JD Vance. For August, Iman Khalif, who's an Algerian professional boxer. Interesting. For September 2024, it was the entry for Lyle and Eric Menendez, which I'm sure coincided with the Ryan
Murphy, yeah.
And then the LA district attorney, who no longer holds that office, saying that he'd revisit their sentencing. For October 2024, Liam Payne, the singer from One Direction, who died.
Oh, right, yeah.
For November, of course, it was the 2024 United States presidential election.
Yeah.
And for December, the most viewed entry was Pushpa 2 The Rule, which is a 2024 Indian film.
Oh.
Although now that I'm thinking about it, it makes sense because India's population is so high. Because even when I look at our demographics, a bigger portion of the non-US viewership is India. But because the population, again, they're so high.
And by non, you mean NON, not NAAN.
My favorite type of bread. Well, I don't know. That goddamn Ethiopian injera.
Well, yes.
Is non and injera could battle it out, and we could do we could do a month-long taste test battle to determine which one I like better.
Why do we have to choose?
We don't have to choose. We can enjoy both. Okay, moving on to more fun things. 5 on the black hand side. 5 black filmmakers who are not Tyler Perry but deserve attention instead of y'all arguing about his mediocre shit. Okay, who's first?
Well, some people do get a lot of attention, and I'm starting out once again with somebody that is quite successful, Jordan Peele.
Y'all know Jordan Peele,
Oscar winner.
Get Out,
Nope. Us, and Nope,
Us.
and
Key and Peele.
Yeah, Keanu.
The cat. Yes, yeah.
But for films he's directed so far, just 3. But he has a 4th coming out soon.
I'll be looking forward to that.
Yes, but obviously quite a big deal.
Yes, of course. Next,
A.V. Rockwell. And thus far, she only has 1 film. A lot of shorts, but only 1 film, which we both really liked and reviewed, 1001.
Starring Tiana Taylor.
Yes.
And for people who haven't seen it, it's a really... I'm not from New York, but it was definitely giving... as a native Los Angelino, I think my impression of New York in the 90s was satisfied with this film.
Yes, I did.
And Tiana gave a hell of a performance.
Excellent performance. Well, that was 2023, but even still, no, I don't see any new plans or a new project simmering for this director, which the quality of that film suggests that there should have been immediate deals. She should be able to do whatever she wants to do after, kind of thing.
Yep.
Same thing with this next director I'm going to mention, Savannah Leaf, whose debut Earth Mama we also both really liked.
Earth Mama was on my best list.
Yeah. It
was really, really good.
We got
to hear her speak at the screening.
With Erica Alexander, yep.
Yep. Oh, gosh, yeah. And for any living single fans... Try to find this movie just for Erica Alexander.
Erica Alexander had a nice year, 2023, because she was also in American Fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild that Earth Mama didn't get more attention.
Yeah.
But
okay. Next, the Hughes brothers, or you could together and separate, because they've both kind of been working separately over the past 15 years. Albert and Allan Hughes, but everybody should be familiar with them for their 90s work, particularly Menace to Society, Dead Presidents. I haven't watched this in years, and I
always think of Dead Presidents because that's where I was introduced to. It was that soundtrack that I discovered James Brown's The Big Payback, and I think that was one of the first times I realized that like what music sampling was.
Uh-huh.
And it's because there's a hip hop group called Total, and they have a song called Can't You See featuring the Notorious B.I.G., and it samples The Big Payback. But I was familiar with that song first, Can't You See?
Right.
And then watching, and a friend of mine had the soundtrack for Dead Presidents. And then when I heard that song, I'm like, wait, how is this? Something's not right. So that's my memory of Dead Presidents. Anyway, continue.
Well, I grew up with because my parents did not rent that movie when it came out. I didn't see this till I was with you. Maybe we were in West Hollywood. But I grew up with that imagery everywhere. And and I think I was very surprised that this was a period film when I watched it. I don't know what I thought it would be when I finally did, but I haven't watched this since it came out, but I own it. From Hell, the Jack the Ripper movie with Johnny Depp and Heather Graham. Do you remember that film?
Yes, and I also have a memory of that because when I first got Netflix, where they would ship the discs to your address, From Hell was one of those that I probably received like 6 times.
Oh, God.
And never finished it. I would start it, never finish it, and then another movie would pop into my head, and I'm like, well, I got to return this one so I can get the next one. So I've never actually finished that movie. But that one might actually earn the award for most attempts at watching a movie.
I've been wanting to rewatch that for a long time.
Oh, well, make it a selection.
But they also did The Book of Eli,
which I just referenced because for our Patreon we reviewed The Book of Henry.
Yes,
and I thought that the person who requested it was requesting. I thought the Book of Henry was the Book of Eli.
I prefer the Book of Eli.
Yeah.
I think that's the last time they worked together as a directing duo. What I think Allan went on to do a film called Broken City that I remember thinking was so. I remember Mark Wahlberg and Catherine Zeta-Jones and somebody else in it. And then Albert did a film called Alpha that I don't believe I've seen. And then I think Allan has their plans. He was going to do a Snoop Dogg biopic and a Marvin Gaye biopic. So I don't know if those are still happening, but clearly still working.
Lastly,
Charles Lane.
I'm not familiar with Charles Lane.
There, not to be confused, there was a white actor from the Hollywood Golden Age.
That's who popped up first, you know?
Yeah, not to be confused with that. Charles Lane, who I think if you haven't, he only directed 2 features, one of which I haven't seen, so I'll start with that. It's called True Identity, and Frank Langella's in it, and it's about a kid that's hiding from the mob, so he disguises himself as white.
Oh.
I don't think it was a hit. Otherwise, you probably still would know who Charles Lane is. But his debut, excuse me, is a 1989 film called Sidewalk Stories, which I do own. And it's mostly silent. It kind of is it's kind of influenced by Buster Keaton, Charles Chaplin in that way. It's about a kind of a tramp, if you will, and that's lived an unhoused individual, but this black man who saves this baby whose parents are killed by a mobster, if I remember correctly, or one of the parents. And then he spends the film trying to get this baby to safety somehow. So it's actually a lot more serious than you'd think. But I remember hearing Charles Lane talk about it. He'd also was heavily inspired by this Brian Forbes film called Tiger Bay, starring John and Haley Mills, which, sorry, not Brian Forbes, J. Lee Thompson, which to this day I still haven't seen it. I need to. But anyway, I think that's a beautiful, lovely, unique film that more people should know about. But Charles Lane, still alive.
Well, thank you for that.
I think he actually popped up in Mario Van Peebles' film Posse as well.
Moving on to the restaurant section. There's a restaurant by our house that we've been to before, but we tried again. It's Italian, Osteria La Buca. And I was just thinking we should probably eat there more often.
It's cute.
It's really cute. On Sundays, they have like a pairing for 2 that I thought was really cute.
Spaghetti Sundays.
It's called Spaghetti Sundays. Excuse us. But I so rarely eat spaghetti because we really don't eat pasta. Like, I mean, it's not often that you'll make it for me, and then I rarely order it.
Especially not in public.
Yeah. But those spaghetti noodles were so good. They tasted fresh and they were chewy. Yum, yum. And then we tried a new Indian restaurant called Roots Indian Bistro on Melrose. Mm-hmm. And we usually avoid that section of Melrose just because parking can be difficult and limited. And then a lot of those places feel more trendy than anything.
Yes.
But we had the occasion to go because we went to see an early screening of, early as in time of day, of Hard Eyes.
Companion.
So it was like 5:00 when we were finished, and I was hungry. So parking was easier at that hour. What did you think of Roots Indian Bistro?
It was cute. You also did the 2-person deal thing there, which...
Listen, the perception of a deal will always get me.
Yes. But it's pretty good.
Because these deals aren't cheap, but...
No, but you get, you want naan, you want rice, and then, chicken tikka masala, I always want to get anyway.
And sag paneer, I always like. Yeah. And then this was the first time, because I know in some Indian restaurants, you can just buy like chicken.
No.
And so that was part of this meal. And I have to say, I thought this chicken was very good.
Yes.
It was just plain seasoned, what looked like baked chicken. But I thought the restaurant was cute. It was a little loud.
I didn't mind.
And I liked my food. I thought all of it was good.
I've discovered I like this brand of beer called Taj Mahal.
Yeah,
because that's the second time I've had it and I really liked
which
it.
is good. I ordered a spicy margarita. That thing tasted like someone took like a low sugar Sprite. I'm convinced that they made a virgin margarita. And you know me, I never complain about, because you know some people get drinks made and they're like, "Where's the alcohol?" I
Hmm.
hate that. You sound like a drunk, but I do. I hate it, and loved ones do that all the time. In my own life, will complain about the drink not being strong enough.
Uh-huh.
Then just order a glass of vodka.
Shots.
You just want to get smashed, so just pay whatever the cost is, and ask them to bring you a big old glass of vodka, if that's how you're gonna act. But I swear my drink didn't have any alcohol in it. I did like the food though. And then I had a thought as we were sitting there is, what are your thoughts on couples who sit next to each other like side by side at restaurants?
New.
That feels real odd to me.
It feels really new.
Unless you have to help your loved one cut up their food and eat it. I don't know why. I don't know. And then they hold hands while they're sitting there. I don't know.
Well, it's always cute that that stage is still happening, but just wait, just
Well,
wait.
the other thing is, if I'm talking to someone, I think it's weird to talk to someone and not look them in the eyes.
Hmm.
Although we're recording and I can't see your face, but that's different.
Yes,
Eating though feels like, I can't imagine sitting side by side with you and eating unless we had to.
right.
Like, when you go on, like, there are four of us and so we have to sit, that's different because I'm looking at someone else I'm talking
Or
to.
you're on a plane.
Or plane. Maybe that's just an unfair observation. I don't know. It just kind of, I always think it's weird.
It just feels too close, too close.
Anyway, films released. We didn't cover Dog Man.
This was that animated film, and you did not. I don't think either of us wanted to see the press screening. We didn't
Oh, I
go.
watched the trailer. That's right.
Yeah,
It looked kind of cute, but not enough for me to get in the car and go.
no, it's fine, but it was kind of there wasn't a lot that came out this weekend.
Projects of interest. Something called Switzerland.
Yeah, Anton Corbijn. It's been like 9 years since he's had a film, but he is working with Helen Mirren, Olivia Cooke, and Alden Ehrenreich. With Patricia Highsmith. Helen Mirren's portraying Patricia Highsmith, who, of course, is the lesbian writer of Talented Mr. Ripley series, among many other great things.
Oh,
I think there's another Highsmith film coming out this year starring Shailene Woodley.
mm.
Anyway, love Helen Mirren, Anton Corbijn, exciting.
And A Pale View of Hills.
Koji Fukada, who's a Japanese director that I think should be better well known, but I think I'm still the biggest fan of his film A Girl Missing, which I thought was just excellent. But I reviewed several of his films, and he is now adapting the uh, first novel by Kazuo Ishiguro of the same title. So that sounds exciting to me.
Unfortunately, there is an entry in the obituary section.
Yeah,
Marianne Faithful died.
she did.
I'm not very familiar with who this person is
Oh,
at all,
that's
actually, but I recognize the name.
well, she was kind of ruined by Mick Jagger.
Oh,
But I still listen to very frequently her version of "As Tears Go By."
oh,
It's and she redid it after her voice changed significantly, and I also like that version too. But um, if you're not familiar with "As Tears Go By," I think you should be. The Stones obviously also have a cover of that song, but yeah, I mean, huge figure in the 60s counterculture for sure. You have seen her. I dragged you when we lived in Minnesota to a Jean Luc Godard film called Made in USA, which you hated because you were like, don't take me to any more Godard films. But she is playing herself kind of in that. Uh, if there wasn't so much else going on, I have always wanted to watch this girl, the girl on a motorcycle, which she stars opposite Alain Delon in from the 60s, from like 68. She also played Ophelia in a version of Hamlet directed by the great Tony Richardson, who, used to be married to Vanessa Redgrave. And yeah, I don't know. It in like 2007, she had a film called Irina Palm, and she is a woman. It's really bizarre, but she it's some situation where she needs money to pay for a treatment for her or a loved one or something, and she finds work in a sex club where basically it's a glory hole, but she's giving people hand jobs because apparently she has exceptionally soft hands.
Oh,
That's why it's called Irina Palm. I haven't
oh,
seen that since it came out, and I could rewatch that because I remember at the time thinking like, who is going to get hand jobs? I mean, through a glory hole. I don't know. Uh, and notably, she also played the Empress Maria Theresa in Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette. But yeah, it had a very memorable voice as a young, sweet woman, and then as an older, grizzled one. But Marianne Faithful was kind of one of a kind.
the secret film this week was my choice, and I chose the 2025 American romantic comedy You're Cordially Invited, starring a Will Ferrell and a Reese Witherspoon. It's directed by Nicholas Stoller. Not familiar with this
Yes,
person.
you are. You're very familiar with this person. Are you kidding?
I couldn't pick him out of a lineup.
You, well, his debut is Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Okay.
You've seen Get Him to the Greek.
Yep.
Pretty sure you watched The 5-Year Engagement with me.
No.
Yes.
What?
I remember seeing that with you.
The 5-year engagement?
With is it Emily Blunt and Russell Brand.
I don't know anything about this
Well, we
movie.
did. I remember red boxing that movie. Neighbors and Neighbors 2.
Okay,
No,
Zac Efron, yep.
and we reviewed Bros.
Oh, he did Bros?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, why did I choose this film? I think you had sent me info on this, and I do like Will Ferrell.
To go drive to a press screen, I was at a very inconvenient location.
But yes, and I was not about to do all that. So it was still on my radar. It was either this film or the new shark film Into the Deep, starring Richard Dreyfuss.
Oof.
And because I love shark movies, but watching the trailer for Into the Deep, I just thought, I don't think I have the energy to try to make talking about it interesting. So that's why I chose Your Cordially Invited. I also watched a review for this film, and the people who reviewed it thought it was hilarious.
Oh.
So I think this is a really interesting film because it kind of, my impression of it is the opposite of what I would have predicted.
Okay.
Because I really like Will Ferrell, and I was assuming that he'd be my favorite part, and I'm really cool on Reese Witherspoon. But in actuality, I think Reese Witherspoon does much better with this material.
I agree. Well, there's a
Well, her character is written better.
there. It's strange how the disparity between the two storylines that, of course, the two families that converge. It seems like a lot more time was spent on characterization.
Well, yes, I have thoughts on. So we're definitely going to talk about that. But let me just read the basic premise. When two weddings are double booked at the same venue, the father of one bride and the sister of the other bride try to preserve the wedding weekend. That's pretty much the movie. So these two weddings are happening at a place called Palmetto House, which is this lovely island that has like a bed and breakfast type place and beautiful grounds. We see a map of the island, and it's pretty big, but we're told that they can only accommodate one wedding per day or weekend. Not really clear why. I'm assuming like because they only have accommodations. I don't know. That wasn't well explained. The entire premise of how this thing got double booked feels so flimsy. But anyway, the father of one bride is Will Ferrell. He's a single dad. His daughter, who I recognize,
Geraldine Viswanathan.
Viswanathan.
Who is in Drive. God, why do I always forget the title of that Ethan Coen film?
Long Lost Drivers.
Drive-By Dolls.
Okay. Okay. So it's her. And then Reese Witherspoon is
Drive-Away Dolls.
Jesus Christ. And then Reese Witherspoon is organizing the wedding for her sister, played by, I think it's Meredith Hagner.
Yes.
Okay. So they get double booked. Both families show up on the same weekend, which is June 1st, I believe. And immediately, because Reese is playing this alpha Hollywood producer type lady, while Will Ferrell is this really like meek, mild-mannered single father who's all about his daughter. They have a really odd relationship.
Yes.
So Reese is able to convince the, I guess, the one person running Palmetto House, played by Jack McBrayer, that since my credit card has already been used as a deposit, legally, this is my venue for the weekend. But then Will Ferrell, looks so pitiful and tells her a sob story. So she says, okay, we can work it out. We'll split like the times and the venues so we can both have our weddings here. So for the first half of the movie, it seems like, oh, everything's going well. But then at a point, Will Ferrell overhears Reese Witherspoon talking shit about his weird relationship with his daughter, and he gets mad. So he ruins Reese Witherspoon's ceremony. So to get back at him, Reese Witherspoon ruins Will Ferrell's daughter's reception.
Well, the cake that he made.
Right. So then now things are kind of out of hand because both weddings have been ruined. And then Reese Witherspoon thinks she sees Will Ferrell's new son-in-law kissing one of the bridesmaids. So she tells him, and he confronts his daughter, like, your new husband is cheating on you. So that causes a scene, and then we find out that that's not really what Reese saw. She saw one of the groomsmen doing that.
Well, they're all wearing the same goddamn hat, so...
And it was dark, and so none of that made sense, but it was an honest mistake. But while Will Ferrell is reeling over sort of ruining his daughter's wedding and her relationship, Reese Witherspoon, she has this family. She has 3 siblings and a mom, and they're all very connected while Reese is the outsider. So there's kind of a come to Jesus moment at the same time that Will Ferrell is reeling, where, excuse us, Reese is basically confronted by her family saying that she's kind of awful. So now Reese and Will are just kind of sitting, feeling sad when Reese agrees to help Will go save his relationship with his daughter. So they all drive off of this island to, I think, go to Atlanta to find Geraldine Viswanathan. She kind of reconciles with her dad. And then Geraldine tells Reese Witherspoon, my dad likes you. And is it me, or did that shit come out of nowhere?
It was like, okay, in the last 5 pages of this script, they have to fall head over heels in love, and we're going to just jam it in there. That's
it
what
was
it
so
like.
Jarring. It's like when you get a hemorrhoid out of nowhere. It's like,
Ooh.
Where the hell did this come from?
What did I do to myself?
What happened? It just all of a sudden popped out. So they literally fall in love. We flash forward to what I think are the holidays.
So you think the third act, the finale of this film is a hemorrhoid? Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then we flash forward, I'm assuming like 5-6 months. And now all the families from both sides are all lovey-dovey together visiting LA. And Will proposes to Reese. And she says, let's get married. Just no ceremony. The end. And then the end credits, we get Reese and Will singing the classic Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton duet, Islands in the Stream, which we're going to get back to.
Yes.
Okay, you already mentioned this, but I think that this film feels like it could have just been Reese. This movie would have been so great if it just would have been Reese Witherspoon, this LA Hollywood type who doesn't want to have kids, can't get a man because she's too whatever. And then she goes, to help organize her country sister's wedding, and calamity ensues, and she realizes that she's more alike to her family than different, something like that. Because I thought Reese was really funny. I thought her sister was really cute. My favorite characters in the movie are Reese's older sister, Gwyneth, played by Leanne Morgan, and Reese's mom, played by
Celia Weston. Celia Weston's always good, but this is my introduction to Leanne Morgan, who's a comedian. But those two ladies, I think, steal every scene.
but even Reese's brother, Colton, played by Rory Scovel,
You
I
s-
thought he was really
and
funny.
you've seen him and stuff,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I just really liked there to me there wasn't a single misstep when it came to Reese's family situation. Even Reese's sister, her fiance, uh what's his name? I recognize him from other stuff. He's like a handsome Chris Pratt to me or something.
Oh, Jimmy Tatro, yeah, from theater camp and
I really liked
Stuber.
he plays like a country boy, like a good old boy, but he's also a stripper and he's really sweet.
He's always a little bit. He always plays an idiot,
It works
a
for him.
sweet idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm so confused because this movie could have just been off the strength of this family and the one outsider, Reese Witherspoon, the Hollywood girl who comes back down south or something and gets in touch with her family. But then you have Will Ferrell, who again I really like, but he just plays this oaf. And I thought all of that character felt very like 20 years ago.
It's trying all of that side of the wedding party felt like it was trying so
Oh my
hard.
God. So, first of all, we never meet the wife. We see like pictures of her, but apparently she died not too long ago, maybe because the pictures, well, maybe like 10 years ago. So he's raised his daughter on his own and he's really in touch with like, I mean, I guess you could say like his maternal
Yeah.
side because like he likes to bake and he does his daughter's hair and makeup.
That could be cute. Do you notice the two cakes we see him make, he doesn't like to put frosting all the way around the cake.
You know, I almost mentioned that to you because I thought that could be a way to save on
Frosting?
frosting.
Calories.
Well, calories mainly, not trying to be cheap, but just like, yeah. And also sometimes the way I like to eat my cake slice, I always feel like when I get to the end, if the frosting's good, then it's like, ooh, I get this surprise of like a whole section of frosting.
Like 3 tablespoons of frosting.
Yeah, but then I'm always like, oh, I'm just eating like 3 tablespoons of frosting with no actual cake.
Sure.
But immediately when we meet Will Ferrell, it's like, okay. And then his daughter knocks on the door because she's come home from college or something, or she's visiting for the weekend. Their greeting was so grating to me.
Yep.
They have this like long secret handshake. And I just thought, does anyone really do this outside of a movie?
No.
And it just felt so unnatural. And I just knew from that point on that their relationship's going to just be so awkward because they're like best. It's almost like Will Ferrell's supposed to be the mom, but they're like best friends. But then you just don't ever see that. I don't know. It's not that that can't be possible. It just felt so artificial.
Yes.
And then when she comes home, Will Ferrell closes the door on her boyfriend. And did you think that he knew he was out there and just didn't want to acknowledge him?
I would assume so. Well,
I
where
didn't
would
think-
that young man have been standing where he couldn't see him?
I thought that that was supposed to be the joke. I didn't think that was cute. And then we meet the boyfriend, and I just didn't like him and
Stony Blyden.
and their interaction. And then
That sounds like something you go to the doctor and you're like, you got a Stony Blyden in your eye. I don't know.
Yeah, we got to lance it out. But she tells her dad, we're going to get married. And he's shocked and like doesn't receive it well.
Yeah.
In comparison, when Reese's sister brings over Herman to Reese's office, her Hollywood office, Reese couldn't be more excited. I'm so happy for you. I'm so excited. But the sister's concerned that the family won't accept him. So that's what they're dealing with. And then just everything about Will and his daughter, I don't think there was anything about that dynamic. Also, the daughter, her bridesmaids, who are led by the young lady from One of Them Days,
Kayla Monterosa Meja,
who has a really funny character in One of Them Days. She's like the check cashing place lady. In this movie, she's Geraldine's best friend, who's also the wedding planner, and apparently has anxiety. Like she can't use the phone, and she's actually not good at wedding planning. She never called to verify the venue, and that's how they showed up, not knowing they were double booked. I thought all of that was grating.
Yep.
All of Geraldine's friends were just kind of annoying to me.
Yep.
One of them is going to go on my worst hair list. She only has one line of dialogue, but she made the most of it. It's this black lady. The actor's name is Zamani Wilder. She's a beautiful young lady, but the hair they give her, she has on this like curly wig with a center part that's okay, but then she has like these pink clip-in extensions. She looked insane, and I don't know why they did her like this. On top of the fact that I just found all those characters grating, because they're also these like early 20 somethings who are like, everything's problematic and you can't say this, and it just felt so tired.
Yep.
And then they're actually quite aggressive with Will. But if they're Geraldine's best friends, shouldn't they know how her dad is and his intentions?
Well, right. In the weird relationship they have.
I just found all of that so grating. But I'm gonna go through my notes. So when Will so why did both parties book the Palmetto house? So for Will Ferrell, he and his now deceased wife got married there. So that's why he wanted his daughter to get married there. And for Reese Witherspoon, her grandmother used to own a home on that island. And she has really happy memories of going like during the summer to stay there.
Because she was closer to her grandmother than her mother.
That's right. So that's why these two people wanted their loved ones' weddings there. But when Will calls, there's this lovely old lady who answers the phone, and Will knows her. And she's like, oh, yes, we'd be happy to host your daughter. As you know, we can only have one wedding per weekend. So what weekend do you want? June 1st? Okay, I'll write it down. Oh, do you need my credit card? Oh, no, you're a friend of the family. Don't worry about it. And as the lady's writing the name down, the pen is like the ink. It's run out of ink. So it's just the impression of the name. And then while the lady's writing down the like Will Ferrell's name, she dies. Like she collapses and dies. So there's that.
I don't know if it's because I maybe have low grade anxiety, but for important shit, stuff that matters to me that I've made reservations for, or like a lot is riding on that, I want written confirmation.
I don't think you have to be anxious to expect that. Like, yes, I would. I mean, why? And it's not like it's 1983. It's modern day.
There's
like
all these things on the phone. There are things that happen, and I'm sure we'll get to it, that happen in this movie that's like, if you had just looked.
The other thing is, we're told that Will Ferrell made that reservation on June 15th, and the wedding is the following year.
Right.
That means that 355 days passed.
Right.
And no one thought to like call. No one got a confirmation. Yes, I know that Geraldine's stupid friend was the wedding planner, and then she says, well, I didn't call because I'm triggered by telephones or something. I hated that.
So that means this place does have email though, because she did something.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I hate the whole premise, like, of the fact that no one thought to call. Almost an entire year passed. It's just very weird to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so then after that, that's when we meet Reese, and she's in her office. And I thought the funniest part of, well, first of all, she's like a battle axe. Yeah. And then she has this little gay assistant who I thought was funny and cute. But did you notice the names of some of the shows she produces?
Yes. What is it? Is it alive? Or is
There's
it dead?
One show called Is It Dead? Where kind of like, we've watched that one show like Is It Cake?
Oh God, so stupid.
Where people,
yes,
I thought that was really funny. We see a contestant trying to tell if a raccoon is dead or not, and she guesses it's dead, but the raccoon bites her. Then there's a show called Masquerade, which is like the Masked Singer except for dancers, and the host is played by
Wyatt Russell. Is he famous enough to merit like a cameo? Like, what's the point?
It's an odd cameo because you only see him for like 2 seconds. And then you see him at the very end.
Well, that's to set up like them using this masked zebra in a scene, but it's all so flat.
I like Wyatt Russell. Like, I don't mind him,
I
but
don't
yeah,
mind him,
it's
but
interesting that
like, why
he had
this?
that role. But okay. Then they have a show called The Charcuterie Showdown.
Oh yeah,
There's another show called Houseplant Masters. There was another show called Lumberjacked. I don't even know what that's about. And then the other one I noticed was Altar Wars. These are the kind of shows Reese Witherspoon's character is producing. So that gives you a sense of what she's probably like. I did think that the intro credits were fun because they were fashioned like a wedding invite.
yes.
So props to that. Okay, so when both parties show up to the island, it's Reese and Will who go to the front desk, and now that's when they find out that the old lady's dead and that the new person is her grandson, I believe,
Or so, I
or
don't
son.
remember.
I can't, I really like Jack McBrayer because I'm such a huge 30 Rock fan, and who doesn't love Kenneth Parcell? But he's funny because he to me he's almost like a Pee Wee Herman type to me.
Yeah,
Because he's had that same hairdo and that same clean shaven face, and even like the polos with the khaki pants. He really has been typecast.
yeah. You have never really seen him in any other mode but this.
And there's
Yeah.
nothing about him like personally. If you go on the internet, he is like in the witness protection program, which makes me think that he's probably gay and he wants to collect his 30 Rock royalties and live in peace.
Mhm.
Good for him. But it's interesting seeing him getting older, playing the same type of character. But he is really cute in the movie. But we find out that about the double booking and that his grandmother, the last thing that she ever wrote was
The name of this
the
girl.
entry for Will Ferrell's daughter's wedding. Okay, I will say, Will, I still like him and he is cute. And I did think that the scene where we see Will doing his daughter's hair was kind of cute.
It's cute, but
It's cute.
yeah.
Okay, Reese's mom. So Reese feels like she's very disconnected from her family because they're all married with kids. They live in Atlanta. They have this more suburban life. Gwyneth, her older sister, we realize that her nice house is being featured in a magazine called
Garden and Gun?
Garden and Guns or something. And then the brother, at first, we think he's like a successful businessman, and him describing his business, I thought was really funny because he's like, we're a business that consults businesses who want to grow their business in the business section, or like, what are you talking
Which is
about?
like, this doesn't sound right, but yeah.
But then ultimately we find out that his business is not doing well because they didn't do proper research, and I guess their main competitor is Bank of America.
Yeah.
Again, this movie could have just been
Well,
Reese Witherspoon and her family.
and it could have leaned into like the weird dark family issues and still been this could have been along the lines of, and I know a lot of people didn't love this film, but Bachelorette starring Kirsten Dunst and Lizzie Kaplan and Rebel Wilson, if you remember that film at all. But there were like moments of that film, like, God, this is really dark. These women that all hate each other tossed together for this wedding. But it could have been like that.
But I really related to Reese's character being like, I feel like I'm kind of like the black sheep of my extended family, not my immediate family, but where it's like whenever I do interact with my extended family, they kind of ask me like the same 3 questions because that's all they associate with me is like Janet Jackson, movies, and living in Hollywood.
Yep.
And so when Reese is with her family, the brothers and sister, the brothers, sisters, and mom are asking her questions, and they're like, "Have you been affected by the fires?" Which I thought was really eerie
Creepy.
because, of course, this film was shot before the fires. Although we have annual fires,
We do.
they're like, "Have you been affected by the fires, the floods, taxes, the homeless?" And then Reese tells her mom, "Well, I don't know. In Atlanta, or in Georgia, have you been affected by the racism?" That lady playing Gwynnie, she kind of reminded me of that lady from that docuseries Chimp Crazy.
How she styled,
How she's styled, but I really, really liked her.
Well, she had a stand-up special in 2023.
I'd watch that.
I'd be interested in seeing now. But yeah, I was not familiar with her, and she's quite funny.
So of course the wedding, the activities begin, and during the uh, rehearsal dinner, because they've decided to kind of say like, oh, for this event you'll be outside, we'll be inside, we'll switch, and then for the ceremony on the dock, like the actual wedding ceremony, will you get like half of sunset or sundown, whatever, and we'll share the other half. But during the rehearsal, it starts raining, and so Will Ferrell's family has to come inside. And I thought that scene felt so.
Eh.
It was so cringy because it feels so artificial.
Like nobody checked the weather. Nobody checked the weather.
Well, also because Geraldine's fiance is a DJ, so he starts playing music and everyone starts dancing. And this is where we get the really uncomfortable scene, because Will Ferrell and his daughter have prepared a performance, and they do a choreographed number, and they sing "Islands in the Stream," and the lyrics are like clearly two lovers.
It's for lovers, yes.
And the only funny part about that is everyone saying like, this is really uncomfortable.
Except for Celia Weston, who's like, oh, it's so cute.
While after Will does his performance and everyone loves it and everyone loves that he gives a nice speech, Reese Witherspoon, who's drunk, because a side plot that I didn't mention is that Reese's sister is pregnant, but she doesn't want to let anyone know that she's pregnant before she gets married. But then at the reception, or at their wedding rehearsal, the pregnant sister's drinking wine because she doesn't want people to suspect anything. And of course, Reese is like, bitch, give me those glasses of wine. So Reese is drinking them. She's drunk. Now she wants to give a speech like Will did, and she goes on and on saying weird stuff. Will tries to grab the microphone from her, which I don't know why he would have done.
I don't know. That's so annoying. Like, let it play out.
And then Reese, trying to get the microphone back, ends up punching Geraldine in the face. And when we finally see Geraldine's black eye, that was funny. Another funny moment is on the wedding day when Reese's sister puts on her wedding gown and she comes in and shows everyone. She looks like she's 6 months pregnant.
Well, when she turns to the side, it's like, whoa, you're pouching out.
That was really funny. And then Reese is like, oh no, we got to hide it. And she goes back and has someone like stitch a peplum on there to cover it.
Which also would immediately, don't you think, like, oh, you're hiding a belly?
Yes. Well, also because, everyone sees the sister with the belly. And they're like, oh, like she's gained weight. Like, no, she's clearly pregnant. Okay. Reese's family, they have their family pastor who's shown up, and apparently he's kind of a pervert. So Reese planned for another pastor to show up, Pastor Luther, played by Nick Jonas, which I don't think we needed him, but
no. And then
but when he does his portion of the ceremony, he does sing it, which was, whatever. I really like Fortune Feimster, and she has a cameo in this. She's the boat operator who Will hired to kind of ruin Reese's sister's wedding.
That was such a dumb scene, though.
Except
there is something. So Reese has brought along some of her LA folks, including a makeup lady that does
like special effects makeup.
Yeah, like, so one of the little boys, he gets like an alien. He looks like a lizard, like alien makeup. And when the dock sinks into the water, that little boy is swimming, and somebody screams, "Alligator!"
I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so after Reese realizes Will is responsible for the dock collapsing and ruining her sister's wedding, that's when her and her siblings all come together because they're equally upset. And then they start talking about how they're going to be chaos monkeys. I actually thought that scene was very funny.
Again, like, I think that if we had focused just on this family, it could have been really weird and dark.
Yes. So their version of chaos is, not only do they have the wedding cake Will made destroyed by the zebra from Masquerade, but they inadvertently set Geraldine on fire. So her face is burned. But then immediately after, we see that she has no damage to her face. Okay. So Will, so after all the chaos and that now Reese's family's upset with her because she talked too much, because there's a moment where she yells at the mom and basically airs everyone's dirty laundry. And then, of course, Will is out, down and out because his daughter leaves. Will is in like the bridal suite with an alligator. And
That
that's the movie poster.
that at that point, I'm like, I really don't like this film.
Yeah, that's when it felt like, okay, we're just using, you know what that felt like? A deleted scene from a 2001 Will Ferrell movie.
Yeah.
It felt very tired. The only funny part about it is when Will's trying to get the alligator out of the suite, he throws it out the window, but before it leaves, it bites Reese Witherspoon on the arm. And then um what's the country bumpkin stripper's name?
Jimmy Tatro.
He's like, I can help. Because his occupation is stripper, but he's like, I'm also a medic, or like I know first aid. So he comes in and checks on Reese, and he goes, oh, she needs a blood transfusion. So he sets up a blood transfusion between Reese Witherspoon and her sister, which made no damn sense.
Nope.
I will say the only funny thing I thought between Geraldine and her boy, toy, husband, whatever, is they get their wedding annulled and they post about it on TikTok. And it's clearly like something that they've like set up to record. I did think that was kind of funny. But then we cut to Will showing up at the daughter's apartment with all those stupid friends there. And they're trying to stop him. I hated that.
Yep.
So now that the daughter and Will have reconciled and she tells Reese, you know, my dad likes you, Reese and Will get in a car together, and Reese drives Will home to his beautiful suburban home. And Will knows what she does for work because she has said it, but she finally goes, what do you do for work? Or do you work? She says it in a way that's kind of like she thinks he's like nothing. And he just casually goes, oh, I'm the CEO of Delta Airlines. I didn't like that.
No.
Yeah. And then when we flash forward and now all the families are lovey-dovey. And when Will and Reese said they love each other, I was shocked. I just don't see where this came from. These two people don't seem like they...
See, I think I like Will Ferrell as a person, but I have a hard time believing he has any chemistry with any leading ladies I see. Like, remember that remake of the Ruben Östlund film Downhill with Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
Yes, actually.
Like, I don't see you with her. I don't see you with Reese.
Yeah. It's so unfortunate because, yeah, this is a weird film where it's like 60% of it I really liked.
I wouldn't say I liked that much of it, but there had moments.
What would you give your Cordially Invited?
2, and I think that's being kind of nice because when we get that alligator scene, I was gonna dip even lower. But
well, what did I tell you? Because I was veering around 2.5.
Yeah,
and I said if Reese and Will, well, actually, what I really said was if Reese and Will fall in love, I'm giving this film 1 out of 5 because this makes no damn sense. But I think I'm so surprised at how much I liked Reese Witherspoon.
I mean, compared to that Ashton Kutcher Netflix movie, where I feel like she's had some things done since she did that movie.
She looks very fresh.
She does, and I like her more than you, but because I have very fond memories of Freeway and Election. But
sure, but I also forgot to mention that Reese cusses a lot in this movie because my impression of her is that she's kind of like a good girl. Although one of her earlier films, she's like, isn't it Freeway?
Freeway, yeah.
Where she's acting real crazy.
Oh, yeah. Love that movie.
So I feel like I haven't seen her act like this in a while. She's not as crazy as in Freeway, but she's the F word a lot. So, but still, I think this movie is not a success. I'm going to give it 2 out of 5.
Gotcha.
Okay, this week's going to be busy because you're leaving for Berlin on Friday.
Yes.
And we have a lot going on. I know we're going to see a screening of The Monkey, which I'm looking forward to.
Same.
We're going to record something with the Queer Cinema Catch-Up folks. The LAFCA Awards that were postponed are happening this coming week.
Yes.
So we have to attend that. Yeah. Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to say? What are you reading?
Mickey 7,
Oh, in preparation for the Robert Pattinson movie?
directed by Bong Joon-ho, which will be Mickey 17. Yeah. Because that'll be premiering in Berlin.
Mm. Well, I think that's all we have.
Yeah.
Ta-ta.